KVUE News Daybreak starts right now.
Thank you, George. We turn now to a subject that affects many people who would never admit it publicly, and that is sexually transmitted diseases, or STDs. Joining us this morning is Austin Dr. Jill Grimes, who's written a book on the subject called Seductive Delusions: How Everyday People Catch STDs. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, Dr. Grimes, we have known about STDs for years. Why is it still such an issue?
Well, it's still such an issue because not only are the numbers not decreasing despite this knowledge, but they're increasing. We have over 20 million Americans who have HPV virus, which is the virus that causes genital warts and cervical cancer. We've got 1 in 5 Americans that have genital herpes, though 90% of them don't know it, and 1 million with HIV. I could go on and on.
Well, and in your book, you talk about how so many people are surprised when a doctor tells them they have an STD. But, you know, we've known for years what caused STDs. Why are people still becoming surprised at that?
Well, here's the thing. We've got a lot of information out there that is accurate and excellent that tells people about STDs, but most of it is rather dry, somewhat of textbook prose or boring statistics, and people just don't think it applies to them. On the other hand, we've got this constant societal message that hookups and physical intimacy are fun and carefree, and that we don't see the negative consequences from that. So I think that causes that whole seductive delusion, if you will, that if you just pick the right people, that you'll be okay.
Right, and you said there's a lot of information out there, but there's also a lot of misinformation out there. Let's talk about some of the myths about STDs.
All right, I think one of the greatest myths of STDs is that you'll know if you have it. Honestly, the vast majority of STDs are silent. The only way you're going to know is if you go in and get tested, or if you show up with a problem down the road like infertility that people get from chlamydia or gonorrhea that might be silent for years.
So are you recommending that people go and have an STD test outside of like their annual physical or their regular trip to the doctor? Is that a good idea?
I think it is if they're planning on being intimate with anyone. What I tell people is that, you know, they need to be checked, of course, you know, annually if they've had any new partners, but you could get checked before you get involved with somebody else, both of you.
And now, since you deal with this all the time, are you seeing any trends or any changes in STDs?
Well, in my subset of the population, what I see the most of is genital herpes and HPV. While HIV and other diseases are out there, actually we certainly see a lot of chlamydia as well. So I think that would be the trend that I'm seeing. The most common things would be the HPV, herpes, and chlamydia.
So for people that think, oh, I'll never have a problem with that, you're saying anybody can be exposed depending on their behavior?
Yes, you can't tell by looking, and STDs don't check your wallet or your education status before they jump on in. And
many of them stay with you.
For a lifetime, right.
Well, Dr. Grimes, thank you very much for coming in this morning. We appreciate the information.
All right, thank you for having me.